We're going to talk about financial freedom tonight, and I got to start with this. I always start with asking the question. I think I'll start with asking the question, then I'll come back to reality. How many of you would like to be financially free sometime in your life? Can I see your hands? Oh, all right. Well, let's do it in reverse, just so in case I didn't see somebody. Is there anybody in the room that would never want to be financially free? Okay, good. I'm just checking. I've asked that. I've calculated now it's somewhere between 1.2 and 1.4 million people I've actually personally asked that question and gotten a response. And I've never had a single person, no matter where I've been in the world, that said, oh, no, I would never want to be financially free. So we all going to be financially free. How many of you in the room got in the last, I got this July 20th, and it says your Social Security statement. Anybody in the room get that? For those of you that didn't get it, I would like to point out something to you. I've been paying in. I am self-employed, so I pay in both sides. I pay in the employee contribution, and I pay in the owner's contribution, and so they show here how much I've paid in. And if I will obviously continue to be in the highest bracket, so they were able to calculate out that what I'm going to pay through the rest. Estimated tax for Social Security, your employer paid, and you paid, their employer paid. Oh, that's worse than I thought it was. Anyway, it's going to be a lot, okay? And but I thought I would point out to you, those of you that are looking to be financially free sometime in your life, we won't do it with Social Security. Let's assume first off that it will make it until you are whatever age, which, by the way, it seems here that they've changed this. I'm just going to read directly from it. It says, retirement. You have earned enough credits to qualify for benefits. So I took and figured, all right, I won't collect any Social Security, though I don't qualify because I make too much money, so I'm not going to get this anyway. But if I were, and I started getting my payments at 70, it would take, not counting interest, it would take until I was 96 to get back the money I paid in. All right, so that rules out Social Security. All right, let's take a look at financial freedom here. When you take a look at financial freedom, and I do this in my opportunity meetings, because I want people to, we come to the room looking at this business for different reasons. We come here, some people are just looking to make some extra money. Some people would like to make enough money to be able to make some major purchases for their lifestyle. Some people actually have the vision of maybe being able to do this full time, and then there's the people who are looking for total financial freedom. First off, let's see if we can define the financial freedom part. If you were to take and sit down and write down the ideal life that you would want to be considered the lifestyle that you've always wanted to have, in other words, the ideal life, and you described that and calculated how much money it would take to maintain that, all you would have to do to be financially free is make $1 more than what it would cost to have that ideal lifestyle through passive income. Now, passive income is income that we make when we're not working. Because a lot of times there are people who make good money. I mean, I see people live in beautiful homes and drive outstanding cars and take tremendous holidays all over the world. But the reality is they got to come back to work. And I've seen people that do very well in the corporate world. I've seen people who've done very well owning their own businesses. I've seen professionals that really do have a great lifestyle, but they're not financially free because, you see, they have to sell their time on a daily basis to make that lifestyle a reality. So when we talk about financial freedom, it's having the ideal lifestyle with no compromise, and then being able to maintain that with a passive income. Now, if they still want to continue to run businesses and do different things, that's fine. But they should be able to maintain their ideal lifestyle without having to sell their time. All right, so now let's describe that particular financial freedom definition by doing a little diagram up here on the board. Now, I want you to use your imagination. I'm not an artist. So I'm going to do, that's a palm tree. That's water. That's a volcano mountain. Okay? And we'll call that Hawaii. All right? I'm writing it down there so you know what it is. Over here is where we currently are. All And so I'll put a little dot on the other side of this board. So on the left-hand side of the board, we have a little dot. On the right-hand side of the board, we have a tropical paradise called Hawaii, which is going to represent financial freedom for this example. All right, now, to get from where we are to where we want to be, we need a vehicle. All right, so we need a means of transportation. That is a 600 S Mercedes. Looks just like one, doesn't it? Yes, it does. All right. I actually had a person the other night came up with actually a brochure on a 600 Mercedes and put it next to it and says, no, it doesn't. It's not even close, but that's okay. Just for the example, just so we can demonstrate this. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Mercedes for just a minute, because that's our vehicle, our means of transportation. Why did I pick a Mercedes S600? Because it's a fine automobile. When we're talking about an S600 Mercedes, I find in all the categories, if you took all of the categories of what would make a fine automobile, it's the longevity, it's performance, it's safety, it's luxury. I can't think of a car that's better than an S600 Mercedes. It's just, that Merc is just outstanding. I mean, first off, when you think of safety, here's a car that's built in such a way that in a head-on collision, the engine is actually forced on a track underneath the car. And then the whole front end becomes a shock absorber. There are more people who've walked away from a head-on collision in a Mercedes than any other car made. That right there is a tremendous selling point. Or the fact that you can open up the door with a pinky, but in a roll, it has a locking system that prevents the doors from opening so someone is not thrown out from the car. 10 coats of paint, which you guys need up here. In Texas, I've never seen a rusty Mercedes south of Missouri. All right, now up here, you guys can test that, okay? I mean, 10 coats of paint in Minnesota in the winter can just barely survive. But some of the other features, like for example, its sound system, the sound system, the Bose sound system, throughout the automobile, it has a sensor that actually detects road noise and adjusts the sound and tones so that your listening experience is not interrupted by a passing truck. Can you imagine that? Just fine. And you can go on and off the exits, on those four-leaf clover interchanges. 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. You squeal a little bit, but it just holds the road, just grips the road. It just really feels good. And fast, whoa, you can be driving 145 miles an hour and feel like you're driving 60. It's just a fine automobile. Now, if we were to take off from here, I guess we could probably the best bet would be to go on down 35, Interstate 35, down to Des Moines and head west towards Hawaii on Interstate 80. Just go on out there. It's going to be great. I mean, because you realize that there are parts of the country that you can actually have no speed limit. You get out there in the west, it's kind of like the Autobahn, and it won't make any difference, because like when you get to California where they have all those policemen that that have got all that radar and the picture taken and all that kind of stuff, won't make any difference, because that S600 can't be caught by any police car in the world. Right? I mean, by the time they catch you, you'll be out of the state. Which brings me to my next point. We have a challenge. You see, as good and fine of an automobile as the S600 Merc is, it can't float. Now, that might seem to be pretty easy to understand, but what happens is since it can't float, there's no way that fine vehicle can get you to where you want to go. Right? If your destination is Hawaii, that's the wrong vehicle. Now, why am I pointing that out? Because people every single day go and get good jobs and start businesses with the idea and thought that they'd like to be financially free. Do you realize that everybody in this room agreed that they wanted to be financially free, but except for the business enterprise that you and I are working on right now, most of you don't have another single way to become financially free. Most of your friends and relatives, matter of fact, probably all of your friends and relatives, are not actually working towards financial freedom. Now, they're working. And I'm not saying that they're not working hard. I'm not saying that they don't have a good job or a good business. What I'm saying is their vehicle isn't going to get them to the destination of financial freedom. And that's probably, why there are so many people in the world that look back at 60 or 65 or 70 years old and go, where did I make a mistake? Where did I go wrong? I've worked hard my whole life. I've had a very successful business. But the reality is they cannot, they just aren't able to be in a position where they can walk away and enjoy the fruits and benefits. Let me point out some attributes that I'm sure you're already aware of, but I'm just going to point them out to you. First off, we have an unlimited income. What does that mean? That means that there is no limit. There's nobody that's ever made the most. I know Dex and Bertie Yeager are doing really well, but the reality is they haven't made the most. They haven't topped the scale. There is no ceiling to this. And it comes about for two reasons. One is because the compensation plan allows the business to continue to expand without penalty. Too often there are business plans out there, and some of you might work in a sales position for a company that has a compensation plan that will allow you to make a certain amount, and then of course the next year your new high record, it becomes the quota. And everything gets adjusted so that you're always shooting, and it's very difficult to top out or expand, because then what they do is if your business gets too big, they divide it up between some new people that come along, and it just seems to be that there's no way to get that thing to really be what it is. But that's also a thought, because you see it's also based on your efforts. So as long as it's based on your efforts and there's no multiplication factor there, there's no way for you to expand past what you can perform yourself. So the key to unlimited income is a duplication process. And we'll go into it more in a little bit, but remember that unlimited income, because it's important. If you're working hard your whole life and you say you have, and I'll just draw a big circle here, and we'll represent that with your dreams. Right? Then I'll draw a little tiny circle, which is basically the starting income that we have to pursue our dreams. And there's always a ceiling on how much money we can make. So when there's a ceiling or a limitation on how much money we can make, we have to adjust our dreams, our expectations, down to reality. How many people have heard this expression? Oh, be realistic. Right? What that means is there's a limit. We'll tell children will come up to us, at family gatherings, and, there's an 8-year-old, and you'll say to the 8-year-old, what do you want to be when you grow up? And, they want to be a president, or they want to, go to Mars, they want to be an astronaut, or, just now today, they want to be firemen. And, whatever they say, we always pat them on the head and say, you go for it, you can do it. When that same young person becomes 18 or 28, we're going, be realistic. Right? You're not going to be president of the United States. You don't even vote. Right? Now, so understand here, what we do is when we start in the working world, we got these great expectations. I knew what mine were when I was going to college. I didn't like college. As a matter of fact, I really, college was something that was a real experience for me. My goal was to get in, and then my goal was to get out. Right? All I wanted was a degree. It didn't make any difference to me what I got my degree in. It didn't make any difference what my grade point was, as long as I could get out of there. And so I graduated from Iowa State University in psychology, sociology, split major with a 2.08, which means I became a bartender. All right? And pizza cook. All right, the second standard equipment, a piece of standard equipment for our vehicle to go to financial freedom, is that the income is passive. Now, we've already been talking about this. When you create passive income, this is income that comes in when you're not working. A lot of people don't understand this, because what happens is they think in selling their time. So when they sit down to take a look at this idea, they're trying to figure out, okay, they'll even ask, they'll say, okay, so how much do I make an hour? All right, if I work 1 month, how much am I going to be getting? All right, exactly how many people make this much money? How many people drop out? And all of these questions have to do with trying to determine whether they can actually perform enough to get some money, and they don't even understand that the money is passive. Let me show you it in its simplest form. All right, you're all familiar with ditto delivery, right? It's one of the different advantages that we have with our particular process. And so let's just say that you put 100 points worth of what you were already buying at the grocery store, and you just shift your buying habit and you put it online and it's automatically delivered to your house. And it's a convenience, isn't it? It might save you, I don't know, 20, 30, maybe 35 minutes a week at the grocery store by transferring over those things that you were already going to buy. Now they automatically come. Now at 100 points, that's about 300 business volume, and 2.8 is actually what it comes out to. And so if we take 2.8 and we take 3% of that, all right? All right, so that's going to be what? That's going to be about $9. All right, so we multiply that over a 12-month period. That's a little bit over $100. Let's just call it $100. All right, by just simply going on Ditto, because it's already things you were going to buy. All you're going to do is have them automatically delivered, taken from your credit card, so it's just an automatic process, so it cuts back on that work effort. You've now created a passive income of $100 a year.